Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, celebrity interviews, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
Welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. But for our radio audience at WYAD 94.1 FM and WYADonline.com, we're glad that you all could be with us. Also, tuning in through our friends at iHeartRadio and Amazon Music Podcast. We're glad you all could be with us as well. This is part of our News You Can Use segment here at WYAD, and today we're talking about the frontline worker experience. Now, I think regardless of what your profession might be, I think you will agree that the frontline workers are the ones that really do help a company or business to be able to run well. However, a new survey shows some of the challenges that frontline workers are facing, but also we're going to talk about some of the improvements that can make their jobs better, as well as more financially stable for them as well. Here to help us with this, we're excited to welcome Monnie Williams to our program today. Monnie is a partner at McKinsey & Company. She's going to talk to us about the survey, but also the things you all should know about what companies can be doing. Monnie, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So, Monnie, this is an important topic. I think we all, it's a term we've all gotten to know, especially over the past couple of years, are essential workers, but I think it can be argued that frontline workers are definitely essential. Let's start with the definition. What is considered a frontline job?
Well, in the United States, we're talking about 112 million workers in the U.S., and those frontline workers do a number of things to make our day-to-day lives run. So they often do not have advanced degrees or certifications, and they are often dealing with the direct things that help the world go round. So folding clothes, stocking shelves, they might be cashiers, providing housekeeping or janitorial services, but all the direct things that require human beings to help us live in the world and provide the services and goods we need.
So when we then think about these frontline workers then, Monnie, what challenges do frontline workers, especially of color, face today?
Well, when we look at that 112 million employees that represent the frontline in the U.S., 70% of Black and Hispanic workers are frontline workers. And so we see it's really hard to disentangle talking about frontline workers and frontline workers of color. And there are a couple challenges we see. The two big ones are really that frontline workers face real challenges to economic mobility. Only 50% of frontline workers make more than $30,000 a year. And we also see, compared to other workers in corporate jobs, for example, these workers have a worse experience around inclusion at work. So they're much less likely to report that they have sponsors and mentors, for example.
So I think as we're kind of having this conversation, Monnie, again, there are some of our audience members that, fall within that range of being a frontline worker. Is it difficult for them to progress in their careers because of the challenges that are there?
It is difficult, and I will say that many of us are introduced to the workforce through frontline jobs. The issue is that not all frontline jobs are created equal, and that's where the challenges around advancement come. So in our research, we see that some jobs are what we call origin jobs, and they have less access to pathways to opportunity. These jobs might be food service workers, maintenance workers, things that are really important, obviously, but they don't have as tidy of a connection to managerial roles, for example. Gateway roles might be something like a customer service manager, where there are lots of transferable skills around customer dispute resolution, having to interact with the public, lots of problem solving. And the real challenge is, how do you get more workers into those gateway roles so that they have a better chance of improving their economic prospects? The bad news is that we see that about 4% of workers really move from the frontline to corporate roles, but there are lots of great jobs in those frontline worker categories that are gateway jobs, and we want to really connect the dots there so that more workers can do that.
And I think, Monnie, as we're having this conversation, our audience definitely knows, as you talk about, as you said, a lot of us were introduced, to the workforce through these jobs. I myself remember, my first job as a bagger at Kroger, and I think, there are so many people that kind of start off in these positions and they may be able to move on, but then again, of course, realizing the importance of those positions. So let's talk about the role of the companies then. Why is it important for companies, Monnie, to reevaluate their relationships with the employees that are on the front line?
We've seen the last few years that workers have been asking these questions of their organizations. So looking at the Great Resignation or the Great Attrition, we see that workers are demanding more, and if their current companies are not providing the types of supports or opportunities that they want to see, they actually are quitting and going elsewhere. So companies who care about retention really do need to keep an eye on this, especially for frontline employees. And then the other thing I think about is when we look at the overall experience that frontline workers are having, they represent such a large part of the workforce. And so if you want to make good as a company on all the diversity, equity, and inclusion commitments that you've made over the last few years, you really do have to address this part of the population in order to do that.
It's an important conversation. Last thing I want to ask you about then, Monnie, with that being said, what can companies do to improve the job quality to support frontline workers then in their development in their careers? As we said, a lot of times they don't have a lot of the other things that other professions may have, but what can companies do to make sure that the job is something that is not only enjoyable, but also helps them as far as financially as well?
So we know that frontline workers are 20% less likely to believe that their company's policies and programs around D&I are effective. And so the first thing organizations can do is to really listen to those frontline workers and understand what their experience is and how they can use that to raise the floor and the experience for everybody in the organization. The second is to formalize pathways to advancement in the respective roles. So what is required to get someone from a cashier to a team leader to a manager in their respective organization, and making sure people have the support to do that. And then lastly is understanding what the gateway roles are in your organization. Again, those jobs that really do link to more economic prosperity and mobility for workers, and making sure that you're promoting at parity and supporting workers who want to have access to opportunity there.
Some great information and timely for sure, as we're seeing, of course, the importance of these individuals when it comes to the success of a business. Again, everyone, Monnie Williams has been our guest, a partner at McKinsey & Company, talking with us about the frontline worker experience as the new survey that details the challenges, but also what can be done to help improve the job quality for these individuals. Monnie, where can our audience go for more information?
Please, too, continue to talk to your organizations about what they can do for frontline workers. But if you want to read more about the report, please go to mckinsey.com/race in the workplace.
All right. Monnie, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate you stopping by and looking forward to speaking with you again.
Thank you.
And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live, again, part of our News You Can Use segment here at WYAD 94.1 FM. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live. Now let's go make today amazing. Take care.